My name is Dr. Gerard Chalo. I am the Commissioner for Coffee in the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. Thank you for that question on EUDR, the European Union Deforestation Regulation, which we have been talking about for a while now. Actually, the regulation, the law, the implementation of the law was pushed by 1 year. So the deadline is December 2026, which is 1 year really from December 2025. That's when the implementation will begin. That is for large and medium companies. Now for small companies, it will be June 2027. That is the implementation of this law. But what does that mean? It means that we have a grace period, basically to organize ourselves, make sure that we comply with the law in totality. The law has been modified to some extent, but the European Union will confirm what modifications we have. I think they are making it a little bit easier to comply with than before. But where are we as a country? The ministry had done a lot as far as preparations for EUDR is concerned. We have already registered 1.65 million farmers and mapped their gardens. This represents roughly around 60% or above 55%. So 55% of the coffee farmers have been mapped as of now. And we have all their geolocations and details, and we were ready actually to comply. What did we do? We also brought on board what we call traceability applications. You see, the law requires us to trace our coffee from the farm to the cup. So from wherever you are growing it to wherever it will be consumed. For us to comply, it means we have to take the geolocations, or we have to take what you people call coordinates and map the garden. We roughly have the drawing of your garden. And we also have to put in place a mechanism of storing this data. So we need a data warehouse. And lastly, we need to trace. So we need an application to be able to connect the data we have and trace it back to the farm. Now, we have already put in place a data warehouse, which is being managed by government. We also have licensed 5 companies to provide traceability related services. That means every exporter or cooperative or whoever is able to enter our database, use the geo coordinates we have, and trace the coffee back to the farmer. So these are the 3 major requirements. So on farmer registration, I should say we are 60%. On the data warehouse, we have the data warehouse in place. And on the traceability applications, we have 5 approved. So for me, we were ready to go. The only thing we are going to do now is to register the remaining 40% of the farmers. And this is going to happen as soon as possible. World Bank has already committed funds for mapping the remaining farmers, which should be done by end of April. So after April, we are going to go into pilot mode to pilot and have the scenarios. We are also planning to train and onboard all value chain actors in the coffee value chain, such that they are going to trade their coffee on the application. What does it mean for those of you who are in the coffee industry? I know you've been buying coffee. You go to the farm, buy a debe, or buy a basin, or buy a bag. You just load it and go. But it's not going to be like that. You will now have to use your phone, your smartphone. You have to go to that application app, put in the details of the farmer. When we are mapping the farm, we have what we call a code or an identifier. So that each and every farmer has an identifier. So when you are buying coffee from the farm, you will ask the farmer what is your unique identifier. The farmer gives you the identifier, is what you put in the system, and it will show you, oh, this farmer is called so and so, has a half acre, and therefore you cannot buy beyond this amount of coffee. But it will also show you that the farm is actually compliant or not. And that is very important. The app will show you the farm is compliant. Go ahead and buy. Therefore, when you buy, you will just take in the identifier, 100 kilograms of coffee being bought, and it goes into the system, and it will be batched up at every level. So when you take to the hauling station, now you will transfer all your batches to that station, and that continues until the exporter. And that's what we are calling traceability. So for those farmers who are not yet registered, don't panic. We are coming to register. Value chain actors, we are coming to you to train you and onboard you on traceability. This we are going to do by end of April. So no panicking. But if for some reason you are not registered after the last mop-up, I call it a mop-up because everyone must be registered, you will have to connect with all our officers in the field. Just tell them you are not registered and we will come to you and register. Every coffee farmer must be registered. Otherwise, some of the farmers or some of our coffee will not access the EU market. Just to remind you, we export between 65 to 70% of our coffee to the EU. Yes, that is the importance of all this traceability and EU regulations. Absolutely. What it means is going forward, every person who decides to plant coffee will be registered. The Minister of Agriculture is going to continuously register coffee farmers who plant coffee at every time of the year. Yes, how could we stop? Even before EUDR came, we had planned to register all coffee farmers for planning purposes. Yeah, so this is going to be a continuous process, year in, year out. We are already promoting our coffee in China. China is buying significantly our coffee now. Actually, last year, the exports to China increased by 217%. Yeah, so we are doing well on that side. But the fear is that globally, traceability is going to be very important. They might not ask now, but they may ask later. Therefore, it's just for the good of all of us that we register. Many other markets are coming. North Africa, we have the UAE. Yes, but I mean, registration is important. Yeah. Okay, so Uganda has been consuming less coffee, just about 5 to 7% of the coffee we produce. We are having a lot of initiatives. First of all, we are adding value to the coffee. We used to have very few roasters or roasteries around the country, but now we have many more. You must have seen that in the supermarkets we have much more Ugandan coffee now than it was before. So adding value to our coffee is one. Secondly, we are doing the campaigns. We are telling the people the benefits of taking coffee, but it also helps us a lot to reduce on the burden of export. If we were consuming 40% of our coffee, it would make our burden on planning for export very easy. But apart from value addition, we are also training the baristas, the younger people who make a cup of coffee that you love. There were not many, but now we have many of them. And using different projects, we are going to go around to promote coffee in using non-conventional means. We are going to go the Chibinika style. We are going to go with kettles in the markets, in the tax packs, brew coffee, give it out free, let people taste, and talk to them. We really want to up the game as far as domestic coffee consumption is concerned. Yeah.